Hey all, welcome back to the channel, welcome to Monday, welcome to Countdown Day, and today we're going to explore the seedy underbelly of the Autobots a little bit. Those dark corners where you don't really talk about what's happening, those dirty jobs that, you know what, aren't quite above board and nobody really wants to do. We're going to talk about a special task force known as the Wreckers, and we're going to answer, based on fan votes, who are the top 10 Wreckers. There's a lot of turnover in that group. Top 10 Wreckers, that's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton and lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring. Or, of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is the top 10 Wreckers, a fan favorite faction for sure. No doubt about it in my mind. Going all the way back to G1 in fiction created by Emmons Zeron, really so that group could, I guess, kind of take out Tranus, who was the leader of the Decepticons at the time, and making advances. And of course, after Tranus was taken out, well, you had other warlords that popped up, like Straxus, for example. And you know what? The Wreckers didn't get disbanded. They always had another job. Something that regular Autobots and the above-board forces didn't want to do or couldn't do because really you needed something special ops, right? You needed something that, Black Ops almost, right? And every kind of fiction has this mysterious group who does the jobs that not everybody can or wants to do. In fact, a lot of what they do isn't even officially documented because it's not necessarily above board. Hence, the kind of, I guess, actions and history that mentally plagues a lot of the members. And because their tasks are so dangerous, there tends to be a lot of turnover in the group, and there have been a lot of characters who have been a part of the Wreckers group. So, with all that in mind, let's do the honorable mentions. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this time. And 2 of those technically are combiners. It's kind of wild. So the first one is FOC Ruination. Now, if you're not sure exactly what I'm talking about here, in the Fall of Cybertron line, we had a Bruticus combiner that came out. That was not colored like the video games. Maybe that Bruticus will get an update in Studio Series. You never know, right? The Gamer Edition stuff started. You never know. But all of them were recolored as Wreckers, and these Wreckers could combine. Now, there were specific characters in there that we know and love, such as Impactor, such as Topspin, such as Whirl, that, you know, like Whirl was Vortex, right? But they went together to give us the combiner Ruination. Couldn't argue with it. A few people really kind of dug that idea that there would be a Wreckers combiner, and Ruination was it. Yeah, why not? So that's one honorable mention. Topspin, specifically, another honorable mention, one of the jump starters. Verity Carlo from the comics, a human, and a great character who I believe appeared in our list of top 10 humans. Miko from Transformers Prime, who kind of became an honorary Wrecker, really, thanks to I think it was Bulkhead and Wheeljack, if I'm not mistaken. Toxitron, the kind of Combiner Wars one. It was part of the, I think, like Collector Club exclusives or something like that back in the day. It used the, I guess, the Combiner Wars Optimus Prime mold, right? And that particular one and that particular combiner, Wreckage, really threw in with the Wreckers. So that would count. It's a bit of a weird story because it came from that weird era, that Fun Pub era, right? And Cup. So FOC Ruination, Toxitron / Wreckage, Miko, Verity Carlo, Topspin specifically, and Cup. All those honorable mentions had the exact same number of votes. They did not appear on the list. So who did? Well, you know what we're going to do. We're going to do what we always do and kick this off by doing number 10 first. Kicking us off at number 10 is a little bit of an oddity by way of Rotor Storm. Yeah, baby! I love these colors. And I love this mold. It's the Spinister mold, right? So, if we go back to G1, he's a Turbo Master, if I'm not mistaken. Though, in the comics, he was always kind of talking about the Wreckers kind of knocking at his door because he's such an amazing Autobot, right? He's the best on the battlefield. He has advanced technology for, like, espionage with the Decepticons. His stories are legendary on the battlefield. Why wouldn't any group, why wouldn't the Wreckers want him? Well, fast forward to Transformers Prime, and in that continuity, he is a Wrecker. If you go to the Covenant of Primus, he is one of the Wreckers who stayed behind when the Ark launched and fought the remaining Decepticons under Shockwave's rule. So it's kind of a nice evolution for this character where in G1 he desired to be part of the Wreckers. I'm not sure if he actually became a Wrecker officially there or not, but certainly by Transformers Prime, this guy got his comeuppance as one of the Wreckers. The dream was fulfilled. And Rotor Storm, based on fan votes, was able to take the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, we have a character that would be unexpectedly added to the Wreckers, I do believe, based on most of the iterations of his persona. And it's Perceptor. And a lot of people know now that Perceptor has this rather large sniper rifle. This is a third-party add-on for the 86, but the Titan's Return, I believe it was, actually came with a larger rifle, if I'm not mistaken. In the more recent comics, he had a brush with death and basically started to reevaluate his role as more than a scientist. Maybe I have a role on the battlefield. Maybe I can do something more. Well, with his precision, with his accuracy, with his ability to magnify things, he would be the perfect marksman, the perfect sniper, and indeed that's what he became. Well, once he got good enough, once he practiced, and the Wreckers got wind of exactly what he was capable of, they certainly came knocking, because when you have a special ops task force that does the dirtiest of jobs, that does sometimes the unthinkable of jobs, why wouldn't you want to have someone as skilled as Perceptor? Fans thought the same way, and gave him enough votes that he was able to take the number 9 slot. Number 8 was a little bit of a surprise to me by way of Leadfoot. Now, to be fair, number 8 is really officially Dark of the Moon Leadfoot, who is basically a scientist and an engineer who builds munitions for the Autobots. In fact, he has a pretty good friendship with Ironhide, who, you know, kind of likes munitions and armament, and the two of them are always kind of trying to outdo each other with bigger and badder blasters, right? And I think that's probably one of the best known iterations of Leadfoot. As for this guy who recently came out, while he's based on the G1 Rotor Force version, he is also based on the character in the recent comics run, where he does get approached and kind of becomes a Wrecker under Thunderclash, if I'm not mistaken, in the, like, 2019 comics run. So whether we're talking about this lad or the more popular, and admittedly the votes really came in for Dark of the Moon, if we're talking about that version, any way you cut it, Leadfoot, one of the Wreckers, one of the skilled, one of the fearless, and he took the number 8 slot. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy that number 7 made the list, and it's Rack and Ruin. And I believe that this is the only official version of Rack and Ruin we have, though there is kind of like an upgrade kit you can get for a couple of green KOs of, I think they're upscale green KOs, of the Combiner Wars Warpath mold, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. It's an oddity for sure, but so is this guy. Anyway you cut it, he's the two-headed Autobot that everybody knows. Really, they were two separate bots who got combined to save their life. And now, as part of the Wreckers, they have a very unique combat melee battle style. One of the best close-up, hand-to-hand combatants of the wreckers, and that's why they're valued, and that's why they're kept on. They can actually get in places fairly quietly, and once in there, it's very difficult for any foe to stand up against their melee might. Why? Because you have two brains. Of course, two brains are better than one, right? Rack and Ruin would have you believe so, and that's why, based on fan votes, these two lads, as one, I suppose you could call this a tie, took the number 7 slot. Coming in at number 6, we specifically go now to Transformers Prime and Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus was kind of depicted as a Wrecker's leader, and as somebody who, while very capable, while excellent in battle, while able to do blasters, while able to do melee, while intelligent, I mean, really, second to none. He was also deemed as a leader of the Wreckers because he was able to bring order to chaos, right? He saw the Wreckers as capable, but you lacked structure. You lacked discipline. And that's what he was going to bring. Well, did it work? Did it not? Depends on the Wreckers you ask. Bulkhead was had a little more affinity to him. Optimus certainly trusted him. And Wheeljack was not a fan. Anyway, you cut it. He is one of the more prolific leaders, one of the more prolific wreckers, if for no other reason than his appearances in Transformers Prime. And that's why, based on fan votes, Ultra Magnus takes the number 6 slot. And here we are now at the most coveted of locations, the ever-popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we have a wrecker that I knew was going to be on this list. I didn't know where, but you know what? The halfway mark seems like as good of a place as any for Whirl. I don't need to give any explanation here. Why is Whirl a wrecker? Because he's nuts. The guy's crazy. He likes to go in blasters blazing. He loves the danger. He's a thrill seeker. He's Whirl. And he doesn't need to be anything else than Whirl. And for that reason, he takes the number 5 slot. We're closing in now because we are at number 4. And at number 4 we have Transformers Prime Wheeljack. Now yes, this is the little tiny Cyberverse Wheeljack. We used to have the Deluxe Beast Hunters one, and I don't know where it went. The hands got really messed up on it. It's a shame. It's a great mold. We still have it here in the house. I don't have it. One of the Scraplets owns it as the Dead End coloration. The little Cyberverse one, though, is Transformers Prime Wheeljack, and he's great. He's definitely a departure personality-wise from the kind of traditional engineer, scientist that we know, creator, inventor, to being more rough and tumble. Very fast, a very skilled driver, great with hand-to-hand melee combat, excellent with his swords, but can go in blasters blazing. He's been a wrecker for a long time. It's what he identifies as. He is a soldier through and through, but also somewhat sarcastic and full of one-liners and quips. Fun fact, by the way, this little Cyberverse was a Legion class, not Legends class. Legends was a size up. This was Legion class. And when they stopped doing Legends class a few years ago and gave us Micromaster packs and then went back by introducing Core class, they were a little bit smaller than what the traditional Legends had been, but they kind of took up that price point. Fun fact, this guy comes in at 20 grams of plastic. Several of the Legion class come in at about, several of the Core class come in at about 17 to 20 grams of plastic. Looking at you, Dracodon. Looking at you, Vertebrate. Looking at you, Studio Series Ravage, who's only 12 grams to be fair. More articulated, more parts count on those? Absolutely, because this guy has no elbows, but he does have knees, and he does have everything else that really all the modern ones have. I'm just saying, how did we go from something that's taking the place of a Legends class, really only being the kind of mass and whatnot of a Legion class? Just something to note. Anyway, that was off topic. On topic, Wheeljack. One of the last remaining wreckers, one of the roughest, toughest, and most capable combatants of all of the Autobots. And I guess fans feel the same way as I do, that this guy is really indispensable to the Autobot cause, and for that reason, he takes the number 4 slot. Coming in at number 3, we have a character who, quite frankly, is a wrecker in every single continuity that he's in. He is brave, he is charismatic, but outside of combat, he really struggles to find an identity, to find peace, and to find confidence and surety in himself. He is the epitome of what you want as a wrecker. Go in, do the job, do the fight, do the combat, win the mission, go to the next mission. And I'm talking about Roadbuster. Any version of Roadbuster, all versions of Roadbuster. The guy is like a super soldier and armed to the teeth. Why wouldn't you want him if you're the leader of the Wreckers? Naturally, this is the archetype and the model that every Wrecker leader wants all of their members to be. Brave to the nth degree. Roadbuster takes the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2, this one's not going to need much explanation either because it's Transformers Prime Bulkhead, or I guess really almost any version of Bulkhead. I mean, Bulkhead was definitely one of the Wreckers. He did become part of Team Prime, but he still feels that loyalty. Right there, a close-knit unit. Look how excited he is when Wheeljack arrives. Look how sad he is when he finds out that Sea Spray went offline. He has a heart, but he also has a lot of might and ability. He is a great engineer, but on the battlefield, he's fearless and second to none. He is a severe threat because of his bulk, because of his power, because of his skill. Bulkhead, Transformers Prime Bulkhead specifically, takes the number 2 slot. And here we are at the very tippy top number 1, and would you believe that number 1 is a tie? Number 1 is a tie between not one but 2 Wreckers leaders. In fact, one of these leaders saw the other as a mentor. And I'm talking about, in the tie here, both Springer and Impactor. So Impactor, widely regarded as the first leader of the Wreckers. Certainly if we go back to the original iteration of the Wreckers when they were created to take out Tranus, ended up, I believe, protecting Emrat Zeron to the point of giving up his spark, giving up his life. And I think he died in Emrat Zeron's arms, if I'm not mistaken. Because what Emrat Zeron represented was something so much more, right? And he realized that. He was followed up by Springer, who really felt like these were big shoes to follow. And he never quite felt like he had the confidence or could lead the same way this guy could. It was a lot of growth and evolution in Springer's character, going from the kind of the brash, sarcastic, young, know-it-all, who kind of goes in kind of blasters blazing and sometimes doesn't think things through, is kind of arrogant, kind of sarcastic, to now I have a responsibility for not just me but for a whole team. Am I worthy? Can I do it? Can I match up to Impactor? It was a great story arc. It was a great struggle from the earliest days of the Wreckers. 2 of the earliest Wreckers, 2 of the earliest leaders. How can you argue with either of them taking the number 1 slot? And there you go. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again. Who else had some votes on here? Wheelie had some votes. Galvatron, because he wrecked Starscream. Home Wreckers had a vote. Some of these jokes, of course. Thunderclash had some votes, as did Broadside. The Bayverse version of Crosshairs did. Sandstorm. Shatterglass Rodimus. I thought that was a really, really interesting one. Twin Twist, of course, Topspin had made the honorable mentions. Surprisingly, Twin Twist didn't. Pyro and just what? Transformers Prime Smokescreen. I don't remember him as a wrecker though. Let's throw in Guzzle. I don't know if Guzzle was a wrecker either, but Guzzle had a vote. There you go. We've done it again. Let me know if your favorite wrecker made the list or not. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course, hit the join button and become a channel member at any given time. Please hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here, inside the videos.